Okay, so today's video is going to be a little bit different than it usually is because this time I decided to just tell a story, to just be sat here just being me. So if you guys don't like that and you want to see more videos, then I will see you another time. Bye, love you, this, that, the other. Okay, see ya. But for those of you who are interested, I figured I would tell a story that it's a hard story for me to tell just because of how creepy it was, and also it's very controversial, the topic that I'm going to be talking about. Whether people believe stuff like this or not, everyone has their own opinion on this matter, including myself. I have quite strong opinions on things like this, so I hope me telling this story doesn't make anyone think that I'm like crazy or anything like that, because I'm really not. I'm usually brutally honest, and I don't usually believe in things unless I have solid proof. But I'm going to tell you the few times I have come into contact with spirits, pretty much. Now, before you guys say anything, I'm not going to tell a single lie. I swear on the lives of everyone I've ever cared about and everyone I ever love, I do not make this stuff up. My mum is very, she's very deep about this sort of stuff as well. So whenever I've told her what's happened to me and what I've seen, what I've heard, this, that, and the other in the past, she has believed me because she can tell when I'm lying, and I don't know how anyone could make up some of the stuff that I've gone through. I can sit here and tell you it's the complete and utter truth, but that's completely up to you guys whether or not you believe me or not. You're completely entitled to your own opinion, and I 100% understand that, and I'm fine with that, but I'm just going to tell you what my experience was with this. So the topic of spirits is usually linked in with like religious and just other stuff like that. Me personally, I am not religious in the slightest. So for me to still believe in a lot of things that are like around spirits and around that there is something else in this world, it's usually doesn't fit well with each other, if I'm quite honest. I know that there's plenty of unreligious people that do believe in this sort of stuff, and I know there are plenty of religious people who don't believe in this sort of stuff. Either way, like I said, you're completely entitled to your opinion. I'm just going to talk about my experience, and believe me or not, I don't really care. I just want to talk about it. And the only reason I'm comfortable talking about it in depth, because I have mentioned it in past videos before, is because it hasn't happened for about 3 months now, I'd say. So I'm going to start like right at the beginning. So to be honest, this is probably going to be quite a long video, so I do apologize for that. I just really wanted to make a video like this. I even set up my lighting to make it look a little bit creepier. And let me just say first, before I start off these stories, because it isn't just one, it's going to be a couple from when I was young to very recently. I have never used anything like Ouija boards, or I've tried to contact any type of spirit. Never tried, never bothered. And even right now, I'm getting really on edge because I'm home alone, and talking about this is making me a little bit nervous almost. Okay, so the first story I'm going to talk about is when I was either 9 or 12 years old, and I can't entirely remember. I'm gonna say I'll say I was about 11, because I might have been that age. I can't really remember because it was a while ago. Basically, I know none of you will know this originally, but my mum is very, she does believe very heavily in this sort of stuff, and she has predicted very creepy things in the past. And just to prove this, I don't have like picture evidence or anything, so like I said, it's just gonna depend on whether you guys believe me or not. But she has had feelings and like almost like sensing something bad will happen, to the point where once she texted herself on her phone to prove to people that she predicted something. She got a bad feeling that something bad was going to happen to someone in our family, so she texted it to herself. So the date and the time was all there for complete and utter proof, and I did indeed see these texts. And then a day later, her cousin had committed suicide. Now, when I speak to my mum about these stories, she generally thinks that me and her have some kind of, I'm not gonna say like we can speak to spirits, because we can, but we have had numerous very real experiences with spirits. I'm very jumpy. I don't like this. Now, like I was saying, I was about 11 years old, and I got one of those bad feelings in my stomach. Luckily, it did not come true, but it was a very weird time. Basically, I was watching this TV show, and yes, I know it was TV, And just before you guys say anything, it wasn't like a horror film and it wasn't like a scary documentary or anything. It was simply a crime show. So I'd watch that for whatever reason. I'd watch the stories and it's all real, it's reenacted, you can watch it all. And I went to bed that night. You know, everything seemed perfectly fine. And then about 3 in the morning, I think they said, because I don't remember this. I don't not remember this properly. And this is why it's so creepy, I think, because I don't recall doing this at all, but I did. What happened was I'd woke up about 3 in the morning, gone into my parents' room screaming and crying, screaming at my parents who were in their bed and had just woke up to their daughter bursting through, screaming that someone is going to get hurt and something bad is going to happen to someone I care about. I was convinced I might have been sleepwalking for all I know, because I generally do not remember doing this. But why would my parents make it up? I'd run in and was screaming at them that something bad was going to happen to someone we cared about. That one hasn't got as much of an impact as my later ones, but that kind of started it off where my mum started to think maybe, you know, I was getting these weird feelings that weren't natural. Later on in life, I suffered from sleep paralysis. And if you don't know what it is, basically it means you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't move your body. You cannot physically move. You are awake and you are conscious, but you cannot move whatsoever. It feels like someone's holding you down. Like, it feels like you're being pinned. And it is honestly probably one of the worst fears imaginable, because it's like being paralyzed in a pitch black room on your own and you don't know why it's happening. It is honestly, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. It is the worst feeling ever. And I remember this was the first time I physically saw something. Like, I saw something in my house, something or someone in my house. And it was during one of these sleep paralysis stages. So the fear still haunts me to this day, because I can't even begin to express how terrifying it is. I think I was about 13 years old and I was simply sleeping in my bed. My bed, instead of being behind me just here, it was against this wall where my desk is right now. So obviously I face forward, this is where my bed was. And I had this thing where I could not sleep facing away from the door. I always had to look into, you know, the open space, because I was such a paranoid child that I had to see in my entire room or I could not sleep. And what happened was I woke up about 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I must have been about 13, maybe 14 at this stage. I'd woke up in sleep paralysis really bad, so obviously straight away the fear sets in, and it's like you want to scream, but you can't do anything. And I kid you not, this is 100% the truth. Fuck me. My headphones just died and scared the shit out of me. Why would you do that? Ah! Like I said, 100% the truth before I had the shit scared out of me, because I'm really jumpy right now because I'm reminding myself about all this. I woke up in sleep paralysis. I looked over because I had fallen asleep on the other side facing my wall, which was very strange for me. And if I ever woke up like that, I was always very uncomfortable and very jumpy to turn around, because I always felt like someone or something would be behind me. That was the paranoia that I woke up with every single night. And what happened, I still can't get over to this day. And like I said, loads of times, is completely the truth. I turned over and there was someone stood in my doorway. In the light outside my door with the landing light on, my room was pitch black. I had fallen asleep with my door shut. There was someone stood in my doorway looking in at me. This black figure was staring me down. Like, my voice is shaking just talking about it. Literally, the door just there, it was open and there was someone stood there looking at me. After this point, I can't even remember what happened. All I can remember is the fear that I felt in that moment, which was indescribable. I feel like I blacked out from fear. That's how scared I was. And I definitely was not dreaming. I can tell if I'm dreaming. I was completely awake, completely conscious, and there was someone or something peering into my bedroom, staring me down. The next story happened about 2 years later, I'd say. And in fact, no, I would have been 17, so only last year. Basically, my bed was moved from my wall to just in the middle. And I got over that whole, you know, I have to face my door while I sleep thing. Now it doesn't bother me whatsoever, and it hasn't for a couple of years. The paranoia went away. However, the paranoia of being in the dark didn't go away. I swear to fucking God, I just heard something. I'm so jumpy right now. I can't deal with this. So this one was my first experience with being generally like touched or moved by something that isn't actually there. Yet again, I was asleep. I was on my side facing that wall, the one furthest away. So I was, you know, just laying on my shoulder asleep, as you do. And I just got this uneasy feeling in my stomach, very similar to the one when that thing was stood in my doorway looking at me. I just got this feeling, and for some reason this night I decided to sleep without a light on. And call me a child, but I generally do not feel safe or comfortable sleeping in pitch black anymore because of these experiences. And when people laugh at me because I don't like sleeping in the dark, they don't know the fear I get and the panic I get when I cannot see anything. My brain has started making up things that aren't really there. So like I was saying, I was facing that wall behind me, asleep. I woke up and yet, like I said, for some reason I was in pitch black. I was very uncomfortable straight away as soon as I woke up. Like I said, last story, I was 100% conscious, 100% awake. I was not dreaming, was not having a nightmare. So I lay there for a little while, and like I said, I started to feel very uncomfortable and very on edge and very jumpy. I felt like this weird pressure on my head and my chest. I just felt like sick to my stomach randomly out of the blue. So I laid there for a while, just staring into the blackness, still facing the wall, on my shoulder, kind of balanced on this side. And this pressure got heavier and heavier, like someone was walking over to me. Like, you know, if you like put something like near your nose, like, I don't know, if you get a pencil and hold it near your nose without touching it, you feel that pressure. Like you can feel it before it even touches you. That is what I had all over my body. Like it felt like someone was right in my face like this, like next to me, and it was horrible. At first I thought my mind was just playing tricks on it again, until it happened. So, lying on my side, and this shoulder was facing up because I was lying on this side of me. This shoulder was, you know, up to the ceiling, whatever. And I felt, yeah, again, I don't expect you to believe me, but this is what happened. I felt a hand, like literally, I will show you exactly where it hit, where it touched me. Right here, right on my shoulder. And it shoved me back onto my back, but it wasn't a push. It was like someone had slammed their hand into my shoulder, like if you get in a fight with someone or something like that, and you know they shove you to say, "Oh, you fuck off, dickhead." That is what it felt like. It felt like someone had barged me in my own bed onto my back. That was the only thing that happened, but that was enough to scare the living testicles off of me. Fear cannot describe what I felt in that moment. I had been shoved by something that was not there, and it was a genuine push. I didn't fall onto my back. I'm not that unbalanced. I was shoved by something that wasn't there. Third story is very controversial, and I would just like to remind you that I'm not religious whatsoever, but I do believe there is something after the grave. So basically, my grandma had passed away a couple of months ago, and when it happened, it was the night after it happened. You know, the house was very sad. I myself was very upset. And I remember I was in my bed and I was getting very upset because I did not see my grandma as much as I probably should have. And I didn't, in my head, I didn't give her anything to be proud of over me. So I don't know why I did this. And this makes me sound crazy, but I lay in my bed talking to myself as if I was speaking to her, begging her for forgiveness, almost like apologizing for not making her proud for no reason. apologizing for not seeing her as much as I probably should have, this, that, and the other. And obviously at that point it was too late. And I'm really trying to find a way to explain this. But basically what happened was as I was saying these things, I said, after I'd finished chatting to myself, I literally said, I'm sorry if I've ever done anything wrong. So I turned over, went to go to sleep, and I heard a voice say, "It's okay, I forgive you." I had not been asleep. I was not tired. I was too upset to sleep. And I heard a voice say, "It's okay, I forgive you." Told my mum about it the next day, and she was shocked, but kind of happy in a way. It wasn't scary, this experience, in the slightest. It was very relaxing, like knowing that someone who's passed away was fine and they had forgiveness for anything you'd ever done wrong to them. My grandmother had died that day, and then that night she came to me and told me that she forgave me for not seeing her and not making her as proud as I should have. I got forgiveness because I actually tried to say I'm sorry, even though I thought and I knew it was too late. I think she did that just to try and make me feel better, and I think she wanted me to tell my parents to make them feel better as well, just to let them know that she was okay. I'm sorry the story seems a little bit sad at the end, but my experiences with spirits and stuff like that it shows no bounds. It holds no real connection between each other. There has been many other instances where I've seen or I've heard stories from other people, but those are my most active experiences where I have seen something up close, or I have felt something, or I've heard something genuinely speak to me. Like I said, I'm not religious in any way, shape or form, so this is not from, these spirits that come down to look after you. I don't really believe stuff like that, but I do believe there is something else on this planet other than us. But no, those were my experiences with spirits and stuff like that. So if you guys do like videos like this, then please be sure to let me know, because it actually was kind of funny to reenact, even if I'm jumpy as fuck right now and I keep looking at my door. And I'm probably not going to sleep tonight because I've reminded myself of how traumatized I was, those experiences where things happened to me. But if you guys do like the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos. Oh, by the way, if you have any stories yourselves, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'll have a read through them all, this, that, and the other. Yeah. So, sleep well.